It's 7:15 PM. This is October 18th, 2018. This is the Littleton Zoning Board of Appeals. We're in room 103 at 37 Shattuck Street, Littleton, Mass. I'll call the meeting to order. We have four regulars: Alan Bell, Jeff Yates, Cheryl Gould, Rod Stewart.
Ron Stewart. Yes.
Rod Stewart. Mark Saucier and John Sewell are alternates. Mark Saucier and John Sewell alternates. We need 5 members to vote our first hearing. We'll do administrative matters first because we have 5 minutes until the first hearing at 7:20. Any mail, any bills to pay?
I have these 2 bills.
Just the advertisements. I also noticed that the agenda I'm holding has nothing about the signage change to 15 Great Road. Did that come off the agenda for some reason?
Shelley didn't say anything about
Okay.
that at all, so she mustn't have received the information that was needed.
Does anyone have a agenda with a second case on it? Just
No,
just the one?
this is the
Okay.
only one. Yep.
Okay.
I know
This
that
was
there
an
was
early-
one case that they hadn't gotten their notification yet, so maybe that was the one.
Okay. These are the bills for advertising for the hearings. So that is done, and I can get passed back. Anybody have any news? Mark, how's your team doing?
They're doing great, especially the girls. We won 2 major meets in the last couple of weeks. And they will be in the running for the state championship later in November if they all stay healthy.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well, when I'm walking on Prouty and I see your route, how do they avoid tripping and stubbing and injuring themselves? And
It's not a perfect cross-country course. I would love nothing better than to get a Boy Scout, Eagle Scout project to clean that up.
That's a big project.
Under the, not only would it help us, but if they could make it semi-ADA compliant, so that other people can enjoy that beautiful walk down to the water. So, but yeah, it's, somehow they managed to do it.
You do have a set of minutes you can go.
Oh, thank you, I do. Has anybody commented on the minutes? I think it's June. Thank you, Janet.
Do we have other copies of the minutes, or I don't think they're in the packet.
Yeah, I've got an extra copy here.
Yeah, so do I, because I marked up mine.
Oh, good. Do you want to take the lead then, Rod, on the markups?
Thanks.
Well, if they're appropriate, let's see. The first one I have is on the second page. Top of the second page. Where it's in the very first sentence, where the building inspector comments that the deck was not permitted. I think he means did not have a permit, a building permit. By saying that, it sounds like it's not allowed as opposed to the permit. So I just wonder if that should be reworded.
Okay.
And then in the middle of the paragraph under case 897A, where I stated that the bylaw allows for 2 families, but now can it be multifamily? I'm not sure what that means, so I'm wondering if I should have said, or did say, the bylaw allows for 2 families only. Because I don't know what it would mean by, but now it can be multifamily. Right there. Just over halfway down.
I see what you're saying. I'm trying to read the whole thing to reword it.
Maybe so, how can it be multifamily, question mark, but I'd say only.
Except I don't even like 2 families. I like 2-family structures. What's the bylaw say for conversion to a two-family?
Yeah.
That's what it says, right, to a two-family structure?
Mhm.
And then,
Yeah, conversion to a two-family dwelling.
yeah, conversion,
Okay. I wasn't there, so I can't really
I
comment.
wasn't there either.
I think
June
that's
one.
why you didn't.
Yeah.
but not for multifamily, how's that?
Yeah. And then, you might want to look at the last sentence in that paragraph where you stated zoning bylaw of between 77 and 79, that multifamilies were allowed, comma, the conversion were legally done, but there was no zoning map. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying there.
And I wasn't sure about the dates either, and it turned out that it wasn't 77 to 9, it was a different date. So Chair Gould stated that at some point in the 70s,
I'm assuming the one on Jennifer Street was constructed during that time, right?
no,
It wasn't?
that's not what happened either. At some point in the 70s, zoning created two zones, but a zoning map was never adopted. So that period is, but a zoning map was never adopted, so that period has some legal challenges, because we had two zones, but nobody knew which zone was which and what was allowed in them, because they never created the
Yeah.
map.
Well, if they never created a map, then they really didn't specify where it could be done, so therefore it couldn't be done.
Or there was no zoning at all. I
Yeah,
mean, legally,
yeah.
there's a challenge
Right,
to that
yeah.
period. But I couldn't slot, they couldn't slot this house into that period.
Yeah. One, two, three, four.
Okay?
And then, I don't know what this last, on page 4, the first paragraph, last sentence, board needs to know the years of the bylaw change and rescinded. If they know for certain, the board could make the determination. In the last sentence, if the data is correct, when Littleton allowed multifamilies, it conformed then. It just sounded kind of like an awkward sentence
Where are you now?
right here. I'm not sure what exactly they're trying to say there.
Page 4?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much a follow-up of what you just, how you just corrected the last paragraph.
So you said at the end?
Yeah, the first
If
paragraph.
the date is correct, they know for certain, I think we can leave it off.
Yeah, okay.
It says if they know for certain, we could make a determination, but it turned out we didn't know for certain. Okay?
And then the last big paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences down, starting with Cheryl, I put reword. I guess I didn't like the way it was worded.
Cheryl Hollinger stated
Yeah.
she will not vote to overturn the determination. At the very least, hire an engineer, come back with a variance request showing it is safe.
Yeah, it's-
So this came down as a request for the building, challenge to the building inspector's determination. And Cheryl said she will not vote to overturn the building inspector's determination. Determination,
And
period.
then,
At the very least, applicant
okay, that's-
Applicant. should hire an engineer. Come back with a variance request and show it is safe. Okay?
Okay, that's all I came up with.
Mark, did you have some?
Yeah, just that same page, maybe you already picked it up. I thought it was a different spelling of your name, but I think it's C-H.
Oh, Sherry.
That's not Sherry, that's spelled, it should be Chair Gould.
Yeah, the Indian version.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that's what happens, when you know what the word's supposed
No,
to be,
I
you
did,
just go
I
right
did
through
not
it.
claim.
Yeah, and then same paragraph a little bit further down, I'm quoted, and it says, Mark Saucy wants to continue the hearing, get town council opinion. It's written, if it falls in statute of limitations, I think instead of in, it should be within. It reads
And if it falls
within
within,
the statute of limitations.
did you want to say within the statute of limitations? What did it have to do with statute of limitations? Town council?
I'm trying to remember what we talked about at the time, but
There was something about if you did work that you
Yes.
could have got a building permit for, but you didn't,
Yes.
and at the end of 10 years or whatever,
Yeah.
it becomes okay.
It's called estoppel.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yes.
called estoppel, and we all talked about it as a statute of limitations.
And if I remember right, the next meeting, the town council came back and said it didn't meet that requirement.
Not for use. He said for structure only and not for use. That's right. So
Yeah, I saw that word, first time I've ever seen it.
Rod Stewart asked for determined from town council on the statute of limitations or estoppel, how's that, for
Okay, like I said, I've never heard it before.
For-
You can use it.
use. And then Mark Saucier wants to continue the hearing, get town council opinion, and if it falls within the statute of limitations or estoppel. Okay?
yeah, that's,
Too bad we didn't have the next meeting's minutes, because it's a continuation.
No, because it didn't get continued, he never came back.
It didn't-
No, but we still had a response the next meeting from the town council telling us that this
Yeah.
incident didn't meet the requirements.
Yeah, I know, well, it was continued, so it would be nice, it would have kind of been nice to have those minutes too.
Next month.
How about if I say, Mark, and if it falls within the statute of limitations or estoppel, he might consider a variance,
yeah. Yeah.
okay? Because yeah, okay. Okay, anybody else?
Oh, yeah, and down here is another Sherry Gould.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's just spelling my name right.
Just a little dyslexic, the I and R reversed.
Okay, I don't understand this. You've been paying taxes as a multifamily. Chair Gould replied, that does not make it legal. There are codes that need to be complied with. I don't think that was me. What?
No, we determined that the tax people don't necessarily follow building codes.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, anything else? Mark?
Just that last line is a little tweak. Cheryl Hollinger stated, whoever converted the buildings should have got permits.
Should have
Should have obtained, yeah, something
Yeah.
other than got.
Yeah, I know, I
Okay, just like stick, so.
Yeah, the I've got thing instead of I have thing drives me nuts
Yeah.
sometimes.
Okay.
Good for your purpose.
Okay, next.
Yeah,
That's
that's
it?
all, yeah.
All right, so seeing as how you two did a thorough review, can we vote the minutes approved for June 21st, 2018 as amended? Can I have a motion? So moved. Rod moves. Second.
No, second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Did you officially appoint Mark as voting member for this?
Well, I'm not going to let Jeff vote because he wasn't here. Were you here?
I wasn't here either.
Well, it's just, the four of us will vote it then, okay? And it's approved, okay. Pass that down, please, and I just made the changes right on it, okay? Yep. Okay, it's time. I'm calling the 720 case number 907A, the petitioner Dave Canestraro requests a special permit or variance pursuant to 17310B, non-conforming uses and structures, and section 17331, intensity of use schedule for a shed creating a reduced front setback at 4 Liberty Square. Mr. Canestraro, the way we do it here is that come forward, sit comfortably, and be informal, present your case.
Sure.
Then we'll see if there's any comments from the building inspector, from the board, and from abutters.
Okay.
You'll be allowed to rebut anything, and then we'll deliberate.
Sure. I made a statement. Should I read that? You guys have that
In the
statement?
interest of time, we've all read it. Why don't you just tell us, using the maps, maybe point out what's happened for those of us that might not have gotten there. Okay?
So, this is the shed here. When I went to get the permit, I had this plan here. This is when we bought the house. This is, yeah. So I went off of this to figure out where things can go. So in the back there, I got a septic directly behind the house. And then the front yard is, most of that's kind of a front yard. And we get Liberty Square right in front of the house, so I wanted to not put anything up there. So I felt like the placement of that spot there was kind of tucked away. When I submitted this plan, I assumed that this line here was the street.
Right.
I didn't realize until a couple days ago when they came out to look at the actual property line that it's even closer than this.
Oh, you thought that line was the asphalt?
I did. So I had my plans, I was gonna be 18 feet in from the asphalt. I measured again, I'm 21 feet, I know that's still too close. I had a contractor that dug out, it's a shed on a slab. I had a contractor dig out the foundation of the footing, and he said it's 30 feet from the front and 15 from the side. I said, okay, so I drew my plan to what he said, submitted the plan, thinking if anything was wrong, someone would say something. So he, it's kind of where we stood and how we got there, and then, Roland told me give him a call when it's done to
Let-
sign
Did
off.
anybody sign
Let
off
me
on
in-
the foundation?
Let me just interrupt for 1 second. Both of you went and saw the property?
Yeah,
Okay. I need to pick one of you as an alternate before we get too far into it.
oh, sure,
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
flip a coin.
Mark,
You have to have one to flip.
Oh.
Mark, I'm going to select you because you were here longer. That's the only
All right.
reason. And then the other thing is, before you go any further, go back 1 minute and tell me, you said somebody, you asked an engineer or somebody and he told you it was 18 feet to the asphalt? Who did you ask?
No, that, I measured myself to, I measured myself from the asphalt, assuming that this line was the asphalt and that the town's, I was unaware that the town owns more than
Right, the
the
right of way,
asphalt,
the
the
street,
right of
right,
way.
okay.
The guy who did the site work for the foundation gave me the wrong information, that it's, can be 15 feet from the side.
Okay,
Because I have roads on 3 sides, he made it sound like the front road, the front of your house is 30 feet, which sounded right to me, in the side street. So that information, I never,
And then you
I feel
said-
like when I submitted the permit, maybe if there was anything wrong.
someone should have raised it. with
Yeah,
you.
so when I went to get the final, I was, Roland's, I said, I noticed you didn't sign it. He said, there's a problem, and I said, okay. He said, you're too close to the road, and so,
Tell me one more thing. You said you thought it was 18 feet to the asphalt, and then you said it's actually 21 to the
21
asphalt?
feet to the asphalt.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
And then, sorry, John, you had a
Well,
comment.
I was questioning, did someone come out from the building department and inspect the foundation?
No, he just wanted me to call him for the final, when it was
Okay.
done. Yep, and it made sense. Just being a shed, I was, okay, it makes it easy.
So, the other thing I want to make a comment is that Roland, since he was talking about this plan, which Hill Street was not labeled on it, he assumed it was a side yard, he did not know that there was a road here. So normally it would have been a 10-foot setback, we would have been allowed. So that was where the misunderstanding came from this.
Yeah, but obviously, I want to know if somebody went out there,
Yeah.
before the building was actually constructed and the foundation was sitting there.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that in his notes too, that he didn't realize that.
It was Hill Street was.
Right,
yeah.
so that's probably why nothing got said.
What's the bylaw say there for when a side yard's a road?
So I'm having trouble with that because there is no definition
It's in a footnote.
no, but there's no definition in our zoning bylaw of frontage. And Jeff and I were talking before the meeting, many communities say that there is only one frontage. It's the street that your address is on, and that everything else is side.
Yeah.
Footnote 8 here says, if more than one street abuts the lot, then the additional street setback may be reduced 1 foot for every 2,000 square feet under 40,000 square feet of lot area. That doesn't count here because this is over 40,000 square feet of lot
Right,
area.
yeah.
But to no less than 15 feet, which I guess doesn't make sense if my interpretation of frontage is correct in that you can only have one frontage. Why would we have incorporated that footnote if that wasn't to describe multiple street
Yeah.
sides or frontages? But this is this poor guy's got 3 frontages then.
But this is implying no less than 15 feet. That kind of implies it can be 15 feet.
Except
In a non-conforming lot that's smaller than.
in a non-conforming lot that's smaller than 40,000. And it's interesting, just as a practical matter, if this was a non-conforming lot with less than 40,000 square feet, and it was a detached garage, does that mean a detached garage can not be 10 feet as it's allowed to be? Yeah.
no,
If I
it
did
is-
look at this, and with all due respect, it's not a shed, it is a.
It's a garage, yeah.
So I'm wondering if that is actually in his favor, if he just said it could be within 10 feet if it's a garage.
Well,
Well, it's an
garage is an
accessory-
accessory,
it's an accessory dwelling.
accessory building.
Building, yeah.
Accessory
Yeah,
structure.
so whether it's a garage or a big shed, it's no difference.
We're sort of cutting your presentation off, and I'm sorry, but
Yeah, it's okay.
we're all trying to
Yeah.
find a way to legitimate what happened.
Sure.
Now, your narrative talks about your hardship. Will you speak to that in your presentation, please?
Yeah, I was trying to do everything right the whole way, got the building permit, I'm building this thing on a slab. I went all out, made it really nice, did nice overhangs, nice lighting, probably at least $20,000 into it. Just was caught off guard, and in hindsight, I should have maybe got a surveyor or something if I was gonna be that much money into it.
But you did say that you have limitations on the lot as to putting it
Yes.
anywhere else, so
Yeah,
talk to
as
that
far
for a
as
minute.
The big portion of the front yard, pretty much all of that is, kind of looks like a front yard from the Liberty Square, and I don't want to impact the image of Liberty Square. It's a beautiful spot with the monument, so to me that eliminates anything up there, over where the boat is as well. In the backyard, in the far corner, the top corner there's a septic that's buried. I don't want to put a shed on top of a septic system. So that kind of leaves me over on the side by Hill Road where their shed is. I did think long and hard about where I was gonna put the shed. I may have tucked, if I could go close to someone's property line, like on the top there, I may have gone, like maybe I would have gone over here, but I would have been too close to this property here. The fence runs right along here. So I would have been too close over there, so that eliminates that. And then if I was to meet the property setback anywhere in here, it would just kind of jut out into the yard.
Do you know where the Boxborough town line is?
I'm pretty sure they're the last house in Littleton. It's,
No, there's 2 lots beyond you.
Yeah.
okay, so,
There's that lot and then one more.
okay.
He's
30.
Yeah, and the
And then this
Boxborough
is
town
the-
line is quite a distance.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. It's a tough one. Did you, is this a pre-cut or a prefab garage? It came down as one piece, or did you build it, stick build it?
I built it.
Difficult, okay.
Yep.
Now, what is your setback to the road right away at this point?
To the asphalt,
No, to the right of way of the road,
To your property line.
yeah.
what do you mean
Well,
from,
you see this dotted line here? The road right of way is wider than the pavement.
right,
And that's where your property line would probably be, not at the pavement, but several feet inside the pavement.
yeah.
So what's the distance from there to the shed?
They said it was 11 feet.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Roll, yeah, when they came in, did the measurements.
so,
Yeah,
the
sorry,
building
is that-
inspector
Stone wall
has,
still there?
That's the other one.
Yeah, the stone walls.
The other one's the
still there.
as-built.
So the stone wall, according to this drawing, the stone wall is your property line.
Right. The stone,
Oh.
the property line is, I think, 13 feet from the asphalt, so it goes in quite a ways.
Yeah, well,
Well, that says 11 feet to the pavement.
yeah, but if you look at this drawing,
No, I'm assuming
it
this
shows
is-
the stone walls,
That's
and
the
the,
property line.
and the street is a 50-foot right of way, according to the notice of feed thing
Okay,
here.
so this line
And
is,
his property line is the stone wall. I don't
Okay.
see it. See the stone wall on the drawing there?
yeah,
Not on the drawing, but on the actual.
yeah. So this solid line is the property line.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
Got a picture here. Yeah, the property line somewhere, the granite piece that they were looking at is somewhere over in here. So like on the, I don't know if this matters, but somewhere over in the edge there.
Yeah,
It's quite a ways in from the asphalt.
yeah. Well,
They
you're
just
looking-
repaved it, they didn't make the road any wider, did they? Because they were
Right.
literally repaving it yesterday or the day before.
Yep, yeah, just repaved it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, you're 11 feet from the property line, and I suppose you're at least 11 feet from the back lot.
Yeah, they said it was 15.6 from the back
Mhm.
corner.
Yeah.
So my initial measurement was wrong.
do you want to read into the record, the building inspector's comments?
I remember that.
Does anyone want to read that into the record? Mark.
Sure. Announcer's voice. Board of Appeals, from Assistant Zoning Officer Michelle Cobley, read case 907A, 4 Liberty Square. The applicant seeks a variance from section 173-31, intensity of use schedule, for a 16 by 14-foot shed, which has already been constructed. The petitioner applied for and was issued a building permit in September 2016. However, the plans submitted as part of the building permit application did not show that the right side property line was the street line of Hill Road, Exhibit 1. Upon final inspection of the shed in August 2018, the building inspector was unable to approve the structure as the required street setback is 30 feet. The lot is a legal conforming lot with 49,658 square feet, 495 feet of frontage along Taylor Street, Liberty Square, and Hill Road. The existing dwelling meets the required zoning setbacks. If more than one street abuts the lot, section 173-31 footnote 8 allows a reduction in the additional street setback, but only for lots under 40,000 square feet. Due to this lot size, the structure is required to meet the 30-foot street setback. Pursuant to section 173-10B, 2, the shed will create a new nonconformity and require a variance from the board for the reduced street setback. Mr. Canestraro obtained a copy of the land court plan referenced on his deed, Exhibit 2. We visited the site on October 15, 2018, and were able to find 2 granite bounds as shown on the land court plan. Measurements were taken to the front right and rear corners of the shed overhang. The distance was approximately 11 feet, Exhibit 3. No further comment.
And what's the amount of overhang, by the way?
16 inches.
16 inches of overhang.
Yep.
So is this 11 feet to the building or to the overhang?
To the overhang, she
Yeah,
says.
to the overhang.
The way I would interpret this is you're talking about street setback,
Yeah,
and the notes are under street setback, not under accessory dwelling. I think the house, the dwelling has to be, 30 feet from any road. But I don't know if that applies to an accessory building. And if this is the front, then this is a side setback of 10 feet required.
it's interesting.
It is interesting.
Way to read it.
Because there's no
It's clearly-
footnote number next to that 10.
Yeah, it's clearly, yeah.
It's,
It's the
27.
dimensional, it's the last page of your book, or the next to the last page of your book.
Is this up to date, or do I have an old one?
It's, what year have you done?
Oh, wait, no.
It's all right, it's still the, it's at the end of the book. It's this,
Oh, it's just, okay, it's just different. I'm-
yeah.
Oh, I see.
Portrait versus landscape.
Yeah.
Mine is 2012.
There's also another email from a neighbor, a butter.
Oh, I didn't see that in the file. Thank you for calling it to my attention.
Where does the abutter live?
Literally across the street. That's Nancy Morrison.
Bruce and Nancy Morrison, 1256 Hill Road, Littleton, Mass.
That would be this house.
We are unable to attend the Board of Appeals meeting on 10/18/18 at 7:20 PM for David Canestraro's special permit variance pursuant. We would like to say that we have no problem of the positioning of his beautiful shed. David has a well-maintained home, shed, and beautiful yard that looks at Liberty Square. Great neighbors. Please grant him this special permit or variance. Thank you, Bruce and Nancy Morrison. Yes, they like you.
Yeah, like Nancy. Get along.
The way this road comes together, which road do you consider your address on? The one to the right, as I look at this, or the left on that view?
It's Liberty Square, so it's the short connecting road that the
Oh,
U-shaped.
just that little short piece going across there? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's for Liberty Square, so I
Yeah.
guess that's how they did it when they built it.
Pick the number, 'cause it should
Yeah,
be one.
might as well be for Liberty.
Brad, I'm still trying to chew over your comment, and you might have a point. Because there's a separate, it says minimum side rear setbacks, principal building or structure, accessory building or structure. So you could make the argument that it's just assumed that the minimum street setback for all structures is 30 feet. However, you made the argument that it's not specifically called out as a front setback.
Yeah, especially when you look at the principal building side, it's 15 feet, but the accessory building is 10.
I mean, I think that we ordinarily assume, I think we've always ordinarily assumed that the 30-foot would apply, which is why you are, here. But that's interesting. I'm a little,
That's to
actually,
complicate things.
yeah.
Minimum street setback.
It should say for all structures.
Or structures or
It doesn't.
principal structure, and I don't think that it was really considered that you'd have a situation like this with an accessory dwelling.
No.
So we're kind of,
Minimum
it's not clearly
minimum
defined
side
in
rear
here, I don't
principal
think.
building or structure, accessory building or structure. Well, is the board satisfied with the presentation? Shall we close the hearing?
Yes.
Move to close. Jeff?
I move to close the hearing.
Second.
And seconded by Alan.
Aye.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Who is going to start the conversation?
Well, we could cover ourselves by saying that we grant the variance to 11 feet, but we could also say, if we could consider that an accessory dwelling, then it's a side setback of 10 feet, so no variance is required. However, that would probably, not help the building inspector one way or the other.
I think we should treat it as a variance from the setback.
We can also say that the board's interpretation is it's considered a side setback, so 11 feet's acceptable, something to that effect.
I have a problem with that because I think the intention, I feel like a Supreme Court justice talking about the founding fathers, but I think that the intention was that, nothing is closer than 30 feet to the to the front. This is unusual. However, it is an unusual property, though the location, the problem is you probably could have put it, you definitely could have put it within, 30 feet back. So legally, we need to find, and you picked up on this in your memo, we need to find something about the lot that, that requires you to locate it there. And you did make a case about the various, the driveways, the septic system, et cetera, and it is an unusual property in that it has 3 abutting streets, which is, I think it's anticipated in that footnote, but it's not very usual that that would come up. So we would have to justify the placement of your shed on some aspect of the lot and not on, oh, I screwed up,
Right.
So, and in this case, there is, anyway, so.
And that's gonna be hard to prove, I think, because he could have moved it along the drainage easement till it was far enough away and still not encroach in the septic system. But on the other hand, if we deny it, it's very expensive, and granted, we can't say, oh, well, because he made a mistake, we don't want him to go incur the cost, because that could invite other people to do it on purpose. So, it's kind of a tough thing that way. That's why I was kind of hoping we could consider it a side setback, make it easy.
Well, you certainly can argue that he's got a hardship, financial or otherwise,
Yeah.
by having relied in good faith upon a properly submitted building application and a mutual mistake of fact.
Yeah.
He
and
didn't
that's
do it on purpose, he didn't
No.
fail to show the
And
sideline
that's a
on
good point. If
purpose.
the building inspector came out and inspected the foundation, it would have been picked up before he built the building.
Yeah,
Exactly.
However, let's let Roland off the hook, because it's a shed.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't assume it even had a frost wall.
It doesn't.
Well, if you have a slab, you said you had footings or,
Yeah, he just dug it out this deep, did
Okay.
compact crushed stone.
so there's some, it's not like a shed where you could actually take a bulldozer and move it.
Right, I want it to
Yeah.
last forever. If you do a wood
Yeah.
floor, that's labor, money, it's gonna rot out eventually,
You
so,
have animals living underneath it,
yeah.
yeah.
Alan, you got a comment?
I really don't. I just think it's a really unfortunate mess. And I think we should find a way to provide some relief here.
Give me relief. Mark?
Yeah, one question I've got with this, and it's come up before, is, why do we have the setbacks that we do? Is it for safety? Is it for aesthetics? Is it because it's historical? Because I would hate to say, oh, it's all right to build within 30 feet, and then find out, no, there's a genuine reason why we don't want structures within 30 feet. I can't think of any. Short of if there's a traffic accident, the car might go off the road and hit your
No,
house.
that's not,
What's
because
the purpose of a 30
the
foot?
purpose is that when they did the zoning, they took this arbitrary measure. And every town just, decides what they want to be. There are a lot of towns where the buildings, structures are right on the street,
Well, something
so.
like Russell Street, that building
Yeah.
in the corner.
So, it's just something that was determined, but, so there isn't any practical, there might be practical
Yeah,
things, but.
and I think that large setback is aimed at the dwelling, not accessory units, accessory buildings. But it's not clear.
Anyone else? Someone want to make a motion? I would like to just comment that I am favoring voting it as, granting it as a variance, because to twist the building inspector's interpretation of the bylaw, or to, let me finish, to interpret the bylaw in a session here today with this particular case, may start establishing a precedent that we may not want
Yeah.
to see happen in the
No,
future.
I don't disagree
think it's
with
a
that,
case by
because I
case.
think it needs to be legally covered.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if we want to reference something to that effect or not in a motion.
If I'm writing it, I'll put something in to that effect. I don't think it's a terrible thing to comment maybe in the minutes, and maybe even in just justifying why we feel that a variance is in order here.
I
It's
think
because of that.
I think one of the big things you said earlier was the initial plans were submitted, and in good faith he went forward. And I granted that it looks like there's a little mismatch in what was in the plan a little bit. But that wasn't his doing, it was the contractor's doing.
But it would have, had that been a side lot line, it would have been legal,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I said earlier, when I read the comment, I'll just clarify something. When I read the comment from the building inspector, I said it's really tough to take a found stone bound and measure from that if you're not an engineer. And Jeff and I talked about whether we needed to require engineered plans. But I realized tonight that this is registered land. Registered land is like the best title you can get, and the registered land stone bounds are permanent markers that are relied upon by all registered land surveyors everywhere. If we were doing a property a mile down the road, they would come back to this stone bound as their starting place.
Well, and-
So that's the stone bound we
In
found.
addition, there's a stone wall. And the stone wall is shown on the.
On the
plan.
registered plan,
And it is,
correct.
the stone wall is the property line.
Yeah, correct.
So, obviously, if someone, an engineer had looked at the plans, he would have said, no, your property line's not to the asphalt. It
It's
is
the
to
stone wall, because he
The
would have
stone
looked
wall.
at the plan. Yeah.
But, I agree with you, I think that, it's unfortunate that it got built where it did. It's a funny lot that does bring hardship just because of the fact there's 3 streets. And, it wasn't done on purpose to try to break some rule. In good faith, he put it where he thought it was supposed to go. Nobody caught it until after it was all built. Argued that maybe we should have caught it.
And the original
Really doesn't-
plan that had it 18 feet back, did the building inspector sign off on that?
I don't know whether he signed it or not.
Well, he gave you a building
Yes, he
permit.
gave a
Give me a
building
permit.
permit,
So
so
it
he
was
thought it was a
He
side.
didn't know it was a road, that's, the
Didn't
issue
know
is
it
he
was
had
a
this
road.
drawing, and this drawing doesn't show that it's a road.
Yeah, yeah.
And the sideline for an
Now,
accessory.
the other thing that plays into this is your neighbor who is the most affected by it, which would be the person across the street who has to look at it, is not
It says-
objecting.
it says
So it's
one-
actually, Nancy's a couple of lots up.
Oh, okay.
It's not the direct, when I
Okay.
looked at the, this.
But there has been no
But they
other,
must have been
They were
notified.
yeah,
notified.
so-
there's been no other
Nobody's complaining
comment
about it.
about it.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, it's not like it's sitting in the middle of an open area, I mean,
Right.
there's trees
And
and
and it's not
walls,
like
so
it's a little shack made out of, flattened oil cans.
Yeah, it looks like a good-looking
It
structure.
did, it looks extremely good looking.
Yeah, and
Almost
the
as good as
stone
mine.
wall helps to obscure it a little bit.
And there's a white picket fence or some sort of a fence running across there, so.
Yep.
Do we want to restrict it from ever becoming a 2-story because of its proximity to the side?
Yes,
Street.
I was thinking that too, that,
Well,
additions
Probably
or,
gonna have to, because I don't think the foundation would allow it to go 2 stories, but.
Well, it's on a slab, you could put storage up over.
you could we say no further alteration
Without,
without a building, well.
I guess we don't have, no, I guess we
Without
don't,
coming back.
Yeah,
no, I guess we don't have to
Because
because
you
he'd
would
have
have
to
a
come back
building.
for
Yeah,
a
come back.
It's a variance, so it would be an increase.
an increase, yeah, okay.
Yeah, even going up would be an increase.
Pre-existing,
Going up would be anything.
going up would be a new variance. Yeah, okay, so we
Right.
don't need to do that. All right, I'm ready for a motion.
You keep on saying that.
Yeah, we're all looking at you.
I move that we grant a variance at 4 Liberty Square for the existing structure. Should we since we don't really know these dimensions, should we just refer to the existing structure? Yeah, for the existing structure, which is non-conforming as to frontage.
You can say approximately 11 feet
Yeah.
setback.
Not like anybody can go out there and move it.
Well, that's the thing, if it was actually a shed, we could ask you to move it, but
Yeah.
when you have the foundation and everything,
It'd be
it's-
tough to, I was trying to think of that. I was like, how
No,
am I gonna move this thing?
No.
But,
There are a lot of, we see a lot of plot plans where sheds are over property lines, but they're actual sheds, but
You just drag it
sure.
back.
Okay, there, that was a motion.
that was a motion, such as it
Second.
was.
Second, Alan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. You did a very nice presentation. I hope we didn't make you nervous.
A little bit, but there's just a lot on the line here, so I've
I
been
know.
nervous about this for months.
It's something the bylaw,
Your brother Scott?
planning board
Yeah.
Oh,
want to
okay,
deal
yeah.
with, because the catty corner for me, they build a shed, and
I don't think I coached the year he was on the team.
people put
Yeah.
sheds in, unless they're a certain
Yeah,
size.
everyone knows Scott. I go, everywhere I go, they think I'm him or they ask about his brother.
Yeah.
I know, when I was out there, I was measuring to make sure.
He must be out of college and everything by now, right?
Yeah, he lives down in Alston, he's married. I think he
Can I offer a
runs
motion to?
here and there, but not
You can.
competitively.
To adjourn?
There's your brother back there.
I move we
fast.
adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So it says.
Thanks, guys, really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Big weight off my
Don't
shoulders.
do it again.
Yeah, I was trying to do the right thing the whole time.
Surface area.
Yeah.
That-